So Modern Amulet Titan is this deck with this like incredible skill ceiling, and the specialized pilots of that deck are so incredibly proficient. It makes that deck look like it should be absolutely banned. And then you put it in the hands of a total novice, and it feels like a completely different deck. Anyway, I'm a complete novice to this deck, so let's port it to Legacy. What's the worst that could happen? Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today James has given me the challenge of porting Modern Amulet Titan into Legacy. James sent me an initial deck list which I have tuned ever so slightly, but this is one of those times where I'm not going to make major changes, because I'm going to be figuring out a lot of the lines as we go along during this video. For those of you unfamiliar with the modern version of the deck, Amulet of Vigor is the namesake card here. Whenever a permanent you control enters tapped, untap it. So what we want to do is abuse lands that are going to enter tapped, with the bounce lands, the Karoo lands being the biggest one, and Lotus Field being another one that we can potentially abuse. The modern version of this deck tends to end the game with Primeval Titan. You can go and give your Primeval Titan haste through one means or another, and then ultimately give it double strike afterwards. So that's game plan 1. But in Legacy, you get some more broken land support that you're not really allowed to do in Modern anymore. So that's going to kind of change our deck building a little bit. We are going to throw in some generically broken cards and support the deck with a couple of Green Sun targets that can allow us to do some wild things, like return all of our land cards from our graveyard to the battlefield tapped, or do the Lumra thing and just make a massive elemental bear, while also returning all of our land cards to play. Now, the combo lines get a little weird and intricate here, because, like, let's say you play a Primeval Titan. You might need to get a Boros Guildgate and have it untap a couple of times with Amulet of Vigor to make both red and white, so that you can then have enough mana and the right colors of mana to Sun Home to give your Primeval Titan double strike. The biggest thing that I've done is cut a couple of flex lands from the deck, or at least things that I thought were flex lands, to get more turn 1 untapped green sources into the deck, since we are going to be an exploration deck, and we would like to get that online ASAP. It isn't always going to be about getting to a Primeval Titan. Sometimes it's just about getting to the One Ring, and we can just run fair games where we make a bunch of land drops and bury our opponent in Urza Saga tokens. As far as the sideboard goes, we're going to have a handful of Urza Saga tutor targets. In game 1, we're really just trying to kill our opponent via Amulet of Vigor. And then I'm going to have some ability to grind out the game a different way versus control decks, with a couple of Field of the Deads and Life from the Loams, presenting a weird sort of inevitability versus a control deck. Normally, I think I play pretty good Magic. I'm frequently distracted while recording. It's hard to articulate yourself while playing. Try it sometime if you don't understand what the streamers and YouTubers are going through. But this is a time where I don't really understand the base deck super well. So there's going to be a lot of misplays today, and I'm going to own up to that in advance. But this should also be pretty wild, so hopefully it will be worth your time in terms of entertainment value. Folks, if you need your Lumras or your Summer's Bloom or your Amulets of Vigors or anything else, check out toamagic.com. You can use promo code ThrabenU to save yourself 5% on your order, whether you're looking for standard legal stuff or sweet cards for old school, vintage, and legacy. They'll have it all. Plus, you always get free shipping, and who doesn't love that? With that being said, let's battle. Not green mana, not green mana, not green mana? I can't cast my payoff spells here? Could I guess Summoner's Pact for a Dryad of the Elysian Grove? That doesn't seem great. Let's just mulligan this one. Okay. This is probably fine. We're a little ways away from Summoner's Pact being good. I think I'm just going to get rid of that. So, I cannot overstate enough how scary Wasteland is for a deck like this one. Like, Wasteland is normally a good card versus a deck that has a bunch of lands. But this is a deck where sometimes my opponent is going to 2-for-1 us. Ooh, scary. We could just die. So I could play this and untap my land and then bounce it back to hand. Have 3 mana this turn. That's a green sun for 2, which I don't think does anything super cool. Not right now, anyway. I think next turn I am just probably playing the One Ring. Let's put this on Giant and pass the turn. Tropical Island and a green sun. Presumably for a mana dork here so that my opponent can ramp into Nadu on the following turn. So we Simic Growth Chamber. We're going to put that trigger on the stack on bottom. We're going to go ahead and untap our Simic Growth Chamber, float the mana there. Do I want this in play? Let's say sure. Bounce the Cavern instead. 4 mana, play the One Ring, get protection from everything, start trying to draw cards, and we can work towards some cool exploration things if my opponent just doesn't play a Nadu. Oh, my opponent played a Nadu, and we're not sitting through this on this channel anymore. GG. Note that we probably don't literally lose the game that turn, but my opponent is going to draw at least 12 cards / get 12 activations there. It's just not worth it. It is bad content. A Pithing Needle can come in. Some Dismembers can come in. Most of the rest of the stuff here I'm not overly excited about. I don't know that I really want to try to go down the mid-range card route with things like Endurance. We're playing a 61 card deck. I can probably go down on some slow stuff here. Don't know what the last card is. I have zero real games with this deck, so I don't understand my ratios of cards yet. Lotus Field, no ability to cast Exploration. This is unexciting here. Let's mulligan this. This second one is not really doing anything. It has a Dismember. I can get rid of an opposing creature and like maybe try to play Fair Magic. Not super excited about those prospects, but I think it's where we're at. So we're just going to do this and pass, and I probably need to be pretty aggressive with the Dismember, maybe even just taking something like a Delighted Halfling out to buy time, which doesn't really feel like a good exchange. Ooh, all right. Well, there's an Amulet. I got rid of my bounce land, so this does not feel great. We'll try to set up for the future. Can get a second. Ooh. All halflings over there. Anyway, I can get a second Amulet of Vigor in a minute and try to do some more interesting things. But I don't think my mid-range plan is going to hold up to my opponent's Nadus. So we'll do this. One Ring. That's probably better than the next Construct token. So let's float mana. I could Pithing Needle Nomads in Core here. I think I will. Then my opponent will just have Shuko or Bristly Bill, right? Maybe I should name Shuko because my opponent doesn't have true white mana right now. Let's do that. Because I'm going to use this Boseiju as a land drop here. There's the One Ring. Draw my card. Okay, we got some stuff cooking for next turn. Send in for 4. Opponent's at 15. Cool. Enjoyable game of Magic the Gathering, the format. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by moxfield.com. If you want to see upcoming sets, if you want to understand commander brackets, or if you just want an awesome place to store all, and I mean all, of your deck lists, Moxfield is the place. You can organize all of your decks by folders, and you can even change the views. You like visual, they've got that. You like text, they've got that. Check out my Moxfield Pro Field if you want to see all, and I mean all, of the decks that I've been cooking up. Okay, so we play Amulet. We play Amulet turn 2. We play Rot Farm. We get 4 mana off of that. We use that to do a Green Sun for X equals 3, which is just getting me to a Dryad. But then Dryad can lead me into Primeval Titan the following turn. Okay, this feels bizarre. Opponent has asked me to say hello to the kids on YouTube. Hello, kids. So let's Amulet. It's in play. We've got that going for us. Blooded Strand. Oh, that's insane. That's very good. So let's Amulet. Rot Farm. That trigger goes on bottom. The 2 untapped triggers go on top of it. So float 2 mana, untap, float 2 mana. Then we return the bounce land itself to hand. We're going to fire off a green sun for X equals 3. This is Dazeable or Force of Willable or whatever here. Nice. So there's Dryad. We play land drop number 2. We'll do the same thing again. We're going to untap this twice. Make 2 mana. You have to now be careful because it gains a bunch more mana abilities. And we're going to bounce this to hand again. And now we play the One Ring. Oh shit, it just worked. Draw a card. There's a Valakut. Valakut does cool stuff with Dryad, if this game goes on for a little while. See what my opponent is cooking over there. A Surveil land. And they like their card. We've got another Tundra here, and a Swords to Plowshares. And a Nomads. Fun. 21. Summer Bloom. Okay. Okay, folks, I don't know where we're going, but it's really fucking cool. That much I understand. Land drop 1, double Amulet trigger to untap. So float 2, untap, then I will Summer Bloom for 3 additional land drops. All right, opponent has Force of Willed, pitching a Nadu, leaving them with 1 card. Bad news, opponent. We'll do it again. So, we have gotten the LFG from my opponent. Let's go indeed. So, 2 mana, 4 mana, bounce this, play land drop. We're going to now get 4 more mana. I'll bounce this. Still got another land drop. So we will get a Primeval Titan. This gives haste, which is cool. Yes. So I would like to get this double strike land and a land that gives red. Like, say, this. Oh boy. That's a lot of triggers. So we put that one on bottom, and then we are going to untap all of these lands. Untap, make mana, untap Sunhome. Are we ready? I have 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. I have another land drop. I think this is not a double strike yet. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'll haste here. I'll now return this to hand. I will go 6 mana. I will play a Primeval Titan. And I would like to give the other one haste, which I can do by playing Slayer Stronghold. Or I can just do this to give the other one haste. That seems fine as well. Like, do something like that. So make red, untap. Now the other 2 are at Hanawar Battlements. So we'll give the other one haste, untap this. So I don't have this tapped currently. I can give +1/+0 though still. I had better things I could do here, but we always knew that was going to be the case. All right, triggers. Yes, okay, that's good enough for our opponent. Yeah, so I think having done this once now, I don't get Sunhome at the beginning. I get Sunhome after the Primeval Titans have attacked. Okay, easy enough. We're learning. So a Pithing Needle in. Let's do those Dismembers in. What did we do last time? Down on you for being slow, down on one of those, question mark? All right, what does this do? So this dismembers something and plays an amulet and has a Pithing Needle for a Shuko or a Nomads. Do I just believe in my deck to draw something? Sure, I think this is reasonable on the draw, but I wouldn't keep it on the play. But I am very much figuring this out as I go along here. Opponent is on 6. Ponder is fine. And then there is some question of like, do I play out the Pithing Needle preemptively, or do I try to wait until my opponent plays something? Because there are multiple things that I might want to hit. Shuko, Nomads in core, sometimes Teferi. I think I'll wait one turn. But next turn, I probably just need to play it to preserve my options for future turns. This is a thinker for my opponent, and that is a force. Misty from my opponent. No play. All right, we have our long-term plan now. Let's Pithing Needle. I will Pithing Needle the shit out of this Misty Rainforest if my opponent doesn't fetch in a heartbeat. We are getting a Brainstorm in response, so my dream is probably not going to be realized. And then there's the fetch. A Hedge Maze. So the next thing I have to think about is whether or not I'm leaving up Dismember immediately. I think with Nomads Pithing Needled, I don't need to leave up Dismember immediately. I'm just going to play out this tapped land. I'm nowhere near blue to turn this into something else right now. If I was, I would hold that. A new Brainstorm and a fetch to clear. That was a very fast Brainstorm too. Okay, well, our life total be damned. We've got defenses versus critters right now. Oh no, they like their cards from the Brainstorm. All right, we are staring at each other. Part of me really wants to play Summer Bloom as bait. It's super embarrassing if it does not resolve. Or sorry, if it does resolve, but this is such good bait. Is it good bait without a thing in play? I think it's still good bait. I think I get like a hard cast Force of Negation here is my read on my opponent's hand. Nice, 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 nice. Okay, I had the perfect read. So I've still got 2 Dismembers up, and next turn I just play the One Ring, and that is perfectly fine and good. And we just kind of assume that the One Ring grinds my opponent into dust as long as Dismembers prevent my opponent from doing a creature-based combo. There's the bird. We're perfectly happy dismembering that. It will give my opponent a card. Nadu is just great in that capacity. We're getting a response. Opponent could Surveil land here to have a higher chance at hitting something like Force of Will. Is that keeping the card on top? That was keeping the card on top. All right, so they kept their card, but it was not an answer. Dryad's cool. Doesn't really do anything yet. I'm going to slam a ring here. Nice. Draw. That's cool in a little while. Am I putting this on Nymph? I think no. I think I just put it on Giant. Like, I don't super care if this gets countered right now. And I don't want to play the bounce land this turn. I want to have Dismember available. But I'm now in a pretty good position where the One Ring will give me the value that I need to keep up with 1-for-1s like Hardcast Force of Negation, or allow me to easily outpower things like Force of Will. Serenity. That gets rid of a Pithing Needle, but does not get rid of the indestructible One Ring. So that's not that bad. 15. Play is super rewarded, assuming I draw 1 untapped land here. Yes. That actually doesn't give me Primeval Titan. Those are both ETB tapped lands here. I have a weird Green Sun target. I don't really have lands in my graveyard yet. So I think we go bam, bam, bam. Oh, you're an enchantment. Do I care? I don't think I care with both of these here. We are just going to put bonus lands into play here. We're just going to do this, bounce a land, do this, bounce a land. Now next turn, I can very easily play Primeval Titan. And I still have Dismember up for this turn cycle. Dryad, we thank you for your service. Goodbye. This is in upkeep? I don't know what this is. Oh, it's Memories Journey. Targeting Force of Negation, Ponder, and Brainstorm. Okay. That's not typically what that card gets used for. Alright, that's my opponent just passing the turn here. So now we'll just go wild with Primeval Titan and the One Ring and such. Vesuva, interesting. Draw. There's an Amulet. 2, 4, 5, and 6. I can definitely just cast this Amulet now. Uncounterable. Primeval Titan. And we'll go from there. Bam. So I would like to give this haste. So let's get a haste thingy and something that can untap without thinking about it very much. Lotus Field sounds cool. So we untap. I can, like, sacrifice these 2 lands or something. Oh, fuck, this is not the land that I wanted. I wanted the one that taps for 1 red. Shit. Whatever, I will probably just make another Primeval Titan, and this doesn't actually matter. I guess the next one could be countered. So let's go green, exploration. Now I get bonus land drops. This can kind of bail me out of the situation I got myself in. So I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is fine. So Simic Growth Chamber. Untap it. Make some mana. Do a red bounce land back to hand. I guess Vesuva accomplishes the same thing while leaving this in play. So untap. There's 6. This will be 7. Return a bounce land for the future. 7. Green Sun. For X equals 6. I also potentially had some Lumra lines available. Oh wait, no I didn't. So now I would like haste. What's the other haste land? Battlements. So let's get battlements. Oh, the double strike land is in my hand. And just something that taps for red. Like, say, one of these. So I'll make some mana. I will give one of these haste. And then I'm out of land drops. I'll just bounce some land to hand. I will go to combat. Aww. Now I don't have Dismember available. Alright. Hopefully I don't die. My opponent has 3 cards. Nadu plus 1 mana enabler does it. That's junking my Amulet of Vigor with Prismatic Ending. And then playing out a Nadu. Which isn't actually that big of a deal here. So that's just another Primeval Titan. We'll draw some more cards too. Yes. A lot of these enter tapped. I could think about this, or I could just do this. And take this out. Getting a Ponder. Taking that out of the way. So let's do a Green Sun here. I would like to leave a red floating. I would like to leave a white floating. X equals 6. That'll do. Oh wait, that didn't leave a white. Fuck. Must have tapped one of these other ones. Let's put a Valakut into play. Put a Shifting Woodland into play for the future. So now I have red. I want to give this haste. Didn't leave myself with white. This enters tapped. Vesuva enters tapped. Yeah, I messed up. Oops. That gives my opponent a little more time. I still get to give this haste and hit for 16. But that +2 is relevant. Let's Vesuva a white land. Bounce some land. Play a land. Play an exploration. Play a Sunhome. I'm out of land drops. I will go to Punchies. That Amulet being gone was surprisingly annoying. Here's 12 damage. Saga. And Saga with the first one. And then let's, with the second one, maybe get a Boseiju and a bounce land. Return the Boseiju to my hand. Hit my opponent for 12. And then pass. Yeah, so from the beginning of this turn, I had double strike this plus give Slayer's Stronghold for 16 of my opponent's 17 life. There's a Shuffle. There's a Brainstorm. I can now give a bunch of Urza Saga construct tokens, haste as well. I wonder if I had a Shifting Woodland become a copy of Dryad to turn on Valakut line available that killed my opponent. Memories Journey. That's fine. Land drop. Ponder. I now believe there's nothing that saves my opponent. They've played their land. they would need both cards to answer a Primeval Titan, and then also answer an Urza Saga token on top of that. That should be the GG moment. I'll lose some life to the One Ring. Opponent says, GG's, you're piloting a hell of a deck. I'm not piloting it well, but I certainly am piloting it. So, just in case, let's make a token. Just in case, let's make more other token. Let's give a token haste using Valakut. Let's go white and red. Let's give a token haste. Where's that double strike land? I need red mana. I'm out of red mana. Find me red mana. That's not red mana. Not untapped red mana anyway. I don't care enough from there. Combat. Send them. We'll put some lands into play. For the people who like to see lands in play. And bounce another Boseiju to hand. I don't know where that Boseiju is. It's over here. Alright. We've got a match win on the board. We certainly did the thing. Although, not cleanly. Okay, we have mana with this hand. What are my chances of drawing a payoff card? So I have these 9, plus these, plus Green Sun. So I have 15 payoff cards, 54 cards remaining in deck. Are any of my lands secretly a payoff? Urza's Saga is not that bad. 18 hits I don't need to hit on turn 1? Sure. I don't know whether I play an Exploration or an Amulet of Vigor first in terms of bait for an opposing counterspell. I think I play Exploration so that I can play Exploration and an Amulet in one turn. The deck is also named after Amulet, so like having multiple of them, probably good. Land drop. Exploration. In play. Shifting Woodland. Amulet. Let's go. Again, we will need a payoff card. But this is theoretically going to go bananas. Delta from my opponent. Probably not Nadu this time. Let's see what they are. We got a Tamiyo, a Thoughtseize, rip second Amulet. But my artifacts and enchantments that are in play are probably safe. If we had a payoff card in this opening hand, we would have lost it to that Thoughtseize anyway. Bam. Giant. We could turn... How long does this last? Until end of turn. Okay. So since this is just until end of turn, I can't like activate this in my opponent's end step and carry it over into my next turn or anything. Tamiyo is fine. I think we're just at the point where I just do this as a regular land drop. I don't think I need its mana boost anymore. Like I will just bounce a forest and pass the turn. So I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I can still do a Green Sun. I'm not putting any immediate pressure on my opponent, which gives them time to rack clues to try to find controlling elements for the stuff that I do draw. I would love to spike Primeval Titan, make that uncounterable, and just go to town. Brainstorming? Not brainstorming. It was a Consider, which was an instant, so that could have been cast there. Now there's a Ponder. Maybe they were trying to cast the Ponder previously. They liked the card off of Consider, so we're unlikely to see a shuffle here. And Tamiyo turns into Planeswalker form, and we'll plus to 4. That is not what I am looking for. I guess I will put it into play, but it is now turn 4, so we did not hit a threat on our turn 2, 3, or 4 draw step. I didn't bust out the calculator for it or anything, but that feels slightly below average. Tamiyo to 6. Battle. Fuck, is my opponent actually playing something like Doomsday, and the Consider was indicative of certain Doomsday piles? Yeah, they are. There's a fetch. So I assume that's the 3rd black mana for Doomsday. So my opponent is going to go to 7 here. A hasty Primeval Titan will kill my opponent uncounterably. I just do the land that gives +2/+0 and haste. Alright, anything spicy in the deck? There is Kaito, Bowmasters, and Tamiyos. LED. Am I dead now, or do I get another draw step? I get another draw step. Titan. Lumra. Elemental Bear. Well, I mean, it's not like I'm not going to cast it, you know? Here we go. There is the Force of Will, unfortunately. And then we fully just should die right now. There's a Street Wraith, another Street Wraith, and an Oracle. Alright, GG. A shame that Lumra does not have an overlapping creature type here. Note that 4 cards off the top probably doesn't give me a kill immediately, so I think I still die anyway. I think I am going to board in Collector Oof, or Clues specifically. Junk the Aftermath Analyst. Endurance has some real text here. I think I'm okay with that. I don't think I'm going to mess around with trying to kill Tamios and Bowmasters and stuff. There are also potentially some sideboard jukes that could happen that this could answer. I don't know that I'm into that. Also, I'm not really sure why this is a Boros Guildgate and not a Boros, was it Garrison? I think that's the Boros bounce land. It seems to me like getting the red and the white at the same time for Slayer's Stronghold is a pretty big deal. I wonder if that was just an error in the list that I was given. Dryad Valakut is kind of neat in this matchup, assuming I get to that point. I don't know how to adjust this deck. Let's try something like that. So I have the One Ring as something that I can work towards. I don't have a way to make extra land drops. I don't have a broken bounce land yet. And it's way better if this is a Boros Garrison. Then I have One Ring on turn 3. I think I'm going to keep this and assume that I am just trying to beat my opponent to death with Urza Saga tokens here. And if I do something broken, we take that as upside. I'm going to lead on Boseiju Amulet. I think I want to play this on turn 1 and not have the ability to lose that to Thoughtseize. Underground Sea. What do you have? Hey, the exact thing that I played around. We'll take it. I've lost the One Ring. I would like to play Urza's Saga this turn. The next turn I can play a Boros Guildgate, untap it, or a Shifting Woodland, untap it, and then start activating Urza's Saga. ETB tapped land from my opponent. They get a little selection. I don't want them to Dark Ritual Doomsday this turn. Honestly, I don't want them to do that on any turn, but this turn would be particularly bad. Next turn, I at least start putting real pressure on their life total. Alright, cool. Saga. Summoner's Pact not doing anything right now, I don't think. Let's go Woodland here, and then pass the turn after that untaps. So I will have 2 Amulet of Vigors as of next turn, which, if this was a Boros Garrison, is enough mana to Primeval Titan. Yeah, I wonder if that was a whoopsie when this list was put together. Thoughtseize is fine. My opponent took a Primeval Titan, which might set me up to do something cool later. So I'll make a 2/2. I don't have appropriate mana here to do this, and then... Oh, I also don't have Delirium. That's another problem. One thing at a time, I guess. So there's a 3/3. There's a 4/4. Going to just make this as a regular land drop here, and then bash on in. I don't need the catapulted mana, and I would rather be able to drop a land that taps for 2 next turn and do more broken things with it. So there's 4. My opponent goes to 11. If they Doomsday, they have to win the same turn, which is certainly possible. There's a Brainstorm. No, we do kind of have a crazy person line of Summoner's Pact for Endurance if my opponent goes off, and then die to our own Summoner's Pact trigger. That's pretty cool. I like that. Consider. So now we're at the point where it needs to be Dark Ritual into Doomsday into something else that draws. Now it needs to be Dark Ritual into Doomsday, and Street Wraith needs to be in hand already. They are passing the turn. I get to hit them for 8 of their 11 life. Feels like lethal with this. Yeah, feels like lethal that doesn't need to use the stack. So untap. Mana. Untap. We have exactly Delirium because of Urza Saga, by the way. Land, enchantment, artifact, creature. There is a Primeval Titan. That's a cool kill. Very nice. We'll return the bounce land. Put up punchies. Send them. Hey, very nice. I want Summer Bloom to try to go faster. Maybe I only need 1 endurance. Maybe I don't want to draw it. I just want to be able to pact for it. I don't know. Okay. This is a weird looking hand. The exploration is actually quite tricky to get into play. I don't have anything growing the Urza Saga tokens this time. An untapped green source makes this hand pop off really hard. An amulet makes this pop off really hard. I'm gonna try to keep this. I might end up playing Urza Saga on turn 1 and try to tutor towards amulet and then assume that double exploration Simic Growth Chamber does wild things. My opponent could also just Doomsday on turn 1 here. And everything is moot. Yeah. Oh. I mean, that's still bad, but that's less bad than dying to Doomsday. This takes a while to kill me at the very least. Note that this was something that I was aware of. I just didn't think that this was worth doing because it's bad against a lot of what's going on over there. And I am trying to be a combo deck myself, primarily. Well, let's lead here and see how crazy we go. We could very easily just get Force of Willed. Okay, Amulet is in play. Next turn, we're going fucking nuts. Because each time I play Simic Growth Chamber, I can play an Exploration. I'll take 3. This is fine. I'll go to 17. My opponent can potentially return things. Oh, like another Goyf. Don't Dark Ritual me again, please. This is a 5/6 already, by the way. No follow-up lands. Alright. So, Simic Growth Chamber. We're going to go ahead and untap that. We're going to float mana. We're going to return the Simic Growth Chamber. We are now going to play an Exploration. We will play a Simic Growth Chamber, which we will untap, float mana with. We will now bounce. You got it right, a Simic Growth Chamber. We're going to play an Exploration. Now I can get up to 6 mana. Do I have a bridge card I would like to get? Dryad? Getting Dryad is fine. Let's go Simic Growth Chamber once more. Untap it. Float mana. Bounce this. I'm gonna confirm I don't have another land drop right now. Yeah, I don't have another land drop right now. So we will Green Sun for X equals 3. Pick up a Dryad, which gives me an additional land drop. We are going to use that to Simic Growth Chamber for the 4th time this turn. We'll bounce it again, but we are going to go ahead and make an Urza Saga token here, and then bounce this, and then next turn I can Green Sun. Cool turn. I enjoyed that. Let's do that again. And next turn is going to be crazier because I'm going to have a second Amulet. I'll absolutely just chump block here. You don't get to draw a card when you have 0 lands. Absolutely not. Alright. Float a mana. Do an Amulet of Vigor. Land drop number 1. We're going to untap those twice and float some mana. Bam. Bam. I will do that a second time. Make 4 more mana. Up to a gajillion D mana now. We will Green Sun for X equals 6. Believe it or not, we're going to go for a Primeval Titan here. I would like 1 land that gives me red, and then 1 other land of some kind. Let's do a Gruul Turf, and I'll bounce a Teleria, I'll play a Teleria West and bounce it to my hand. Alright, so we get some Amulet triggers. I don't have to do that now. Make some blue, make some more blue, bounce a Teleria West to hand. So I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. It takes 9 to transmute and play a Titan. So I could do it, but I wouldn't get haste. In which case, let's transmute for a Summoner's Pact with the intention of doing that next turn. So we will just go haste here, then play Sunhome, and this is perfectly fine. So we'll go ahead and go to combat. I'll swing in. I get 2 more lands. I need some white mana. I have 1, 2. This will be 3 and 4, and then I can just get something else. Get a Valakut for the future. So white mana, red mana, untap both of those. Slayer's Stronghold, Primeval Titan, or Double Strike. Alright, so that puts my opponent at a low life total. I've got Valakut coming next turn. They can have this hold back, but with Double Strike, that's not actually going to be that scary. Okay, so I just need to hit my opponent for 18. No big deal. My opponent is hard discarding cards here. Electro Oof can hang out. So I will Summoner's Pact, get a Primeval Titan, play a Simic Growth Chamber. There's going to be some triggers here. So bounce trigger on bottom, Valakut trigger at your face. We have gotten the GG from the opponent. So we'll see how much more they make us click through, but we've got them. My opponent had a great start, notably. Like Dark Ritual into this was great, but then no follow-up lands is really rough. So there's 15. I will return the bounce land. I will play the Simic Growth Chamber. We'll stack these, send at face here, do the untaps, and then I'll play a Primeval Titan after I do this. So yes, there's 12. Float my mana. There's the 6 that I want. We'll return this. There's the Primeval Titan. So yes, we'll now pick up 2 lands of more or less any variety. Let's do a Vesuva and, I don't know, an Urza Saga, Slayer Stronghold. Vesuva will copy Valakut. We have triggers. We didn't even need the combat step where we're going. Sweet. So get white there. Give you haste. And we'll float some mana. Untap whatever else I'm untapping. Cool. And then yes to all of these. Bam. 3. And dead. Well, that was a turn 4 kill, and we beat Doomsday. We have 2 wins on the board. This is going great, honestly. Alrighty. Opening hand. Not so much on the mana here. Play Forest, play Exploration, play Turf, bounce Forest. We're an amulet away from doing some really cool stuff. I think I keep this and get rid of Exploration number 2. And we'll just see how this goes. Verdant and pass. More information required. Exploration. I think we are just doing this bounce land now. It's devastating if my opponent is just some fair Maverick deck or something, and they get to take out 2 of my land drops. But otherwise, this just allows me to cast the One Ring next turn, probably into Primeval Titan the following turn. Ooh, most of the time when I end up seeing Commercial District, we're just playing against a Storm deck. So my current guess is that we're going to be something in the Epic Storm ballpark. Yeah. I guess it could still be lands. Yeah, there's an LED. We're doing unfair shenanigans over there. All right. You enter tapped, right? Yeah. So bam and bam. The good news here is that we are up to 4 mana. The bad news here is that the One Ring might not really buy me a turn. Ooh. All right. Because my opponent could just do something like an Empty the Warrens that would kill me the following turn. But there's a couple of those effects now. There's the one that makes the elementals with prowess, I think, and then there's a new one from Tarkir Dragonstorm that I think makes dragons. All right, no follow-up play. 19. I've drawn a Primeval Titan. Let's see what we draw now. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Let's go. Cavern on Giant. Let's go. Oh, yes, I will use this ability. But I don't get the cool haste this turn or anything. I can set up for haste next turn, though, for this Primeval Titan. I could also get a Boseiju to hand and bounce it. I'm going to get a Boseiju to be able to do that, and then get a haste enabler. Sure. Call that the turn. Ooh, wow, I got another turn. Fantastic. All right. An amulet. Well, now I go wild. And I probably don't need to be too careful here. So, let's do this. Cast Summer Bloom. Simic Growth Chamber. We're going to untap that thing. So, mana. Bounce it. Do it again. Up to 4 mana in pool. Bounce it. I'm going to float some red this time. Play Simic Growth Chamber. Float some mana. Bounce the red one. Primeval Titan. I guess make it uncounterable. I had a better way to do this. It's fine. I'm going to get a Valakut and a more other Valakut. Oh, I can't get more other Valakut. That's fine. You're an extra Simic Growth Chamber. I will make some more mana. So we'll untap that Valakut. We'll untap this Vesuva, which I'm going to return to my hand. Now we are going to do a green sun for X equals 3. Get a Dryad. Let's give a Primeval Titan haste, and that's more than enough very, very easily. I could have done the Dryad before this Primeval Titan. Again, we do not know the optimized lines for playing this deck. We're figuring that out as we go along. Okay, as far as sideboard stuff goes, we have a bunch of stuff that we can bring in, but a lot of it just is not going to be perfect. Like, Force of Vigor's Endurances both do stuff. Soul Guide does stuff. Collector Oof is the only really, slam dunk card here. I'm absolutely going to have Collector Oof as a green sun target, despite the fact that I'm a one-ring deck. And then I just decide whether or not I want to go deeper on things like Force of Vigor and Endurance. It's really hard for Endurance not to do what you want it to do, but sometimes it'll steal games. There's enough weird artifacts over there where I might do something like this to get an extra card in that can impact those. I'm fine boarding that out. I think I like Force of Vigors more than I like Endurance. And maybe down one of those, question mark. I have more cards that have text. Okay, so this hand could maybe disrupt something with a Force of Vigor if my opponent needs exactly a certain amount of mana and I take them off of a Mox Opal or something. Force of Vigor is not something I'm overly excited about here. I would be way more excited about, say, a turn 2 Collector Oof. This is not that. I think I need to mulligan further here. This is going to be a fast match. No. I don't know. I could draw Amulet. All right, I could keep 2 of these to potentially play around discard. I could draw Amulet on turn 1, play Cavern Amulet, turn 2, drop Lotus Field, drop a Collector Oof, lose my lands, hope everything works out from there. That feels sketchy. I don't know that I'm going to do much better than that. But I fully just expect to lose the game where I'm on the draw the vast majority of the time. See what opponents got. Opal. LED. This would be a Force of Vigor moment. Second LED. Burning Wish. Opponent's presumably going for an Echo line since they didn't just crack these. Oh no, they did. It was just weird slowness. Okay. Alright, Beseech the Mirror. So now they're going to go for a Beseech line. This is going to be Gaia's. Oh no, it's empty. Sure. I just don't beat that. Damn. I would have naturally had turn 2 Collector Oof versus a worse start. Okay. Do I need Endurances? Comically, that's also a game that the Force of Vigor potentially wins. I don't think that's going to be super common just like that. I'd just, like, do this and be slightly better at responding. Doesn't feel good to cut these, though, when I want to be comboing fast myself. I need to hit a land, but this is hopefully fine. I hit a bounce land, this just gets to go and play a Collector Oof on turn 2. It hits any land, I can do it on turn 3. I don't know, maybe this isn't good enough. I have like 32 lands or something crazy like that in the deck, though. And my opponent kept on 6. So let's drop an Amulet and see if I'm dead. Arn? What are you going to do with it? Romox. That relay? No, it's Gamble. Petal. LED. Burning Wish. Seems like my opponent is going to do another Beseech line. Yeah, it's Beseech. There it is. So they set themselves up to be blown out by Endurance, but I don't have it. Unfortunate. So they're going to replay all of this mana from the graveyard and then play a Beseech for Lethal Storm. Chrome Mox, Beseech, sacrificing Chrome Mox, and we are at Lethal Storm. Unfortunate. That's fine. These draws that my opponent had in those last 2 games were just faster than what my deck can deal with. GG's. Okay, what does this hand do? Forest, turn 2, bounce land. Turn 3, I can Summer Bloom and just like try to naturally work towards stuff. Triple Summer Bloom here doesn't really feel like it's going to be good. I think I'm going to mulligan that despite the fact that I have the 1 ring. And this one probably just plays Urza Saga on turn 1 to work towards an Amulet. Yeah. I don't know, I could play Fairer. I could just play it on turn 2. Try to settle in for a slightly longer game. I need more matches with this deck before I know, like, how correct it is to just throw this on 0 in Legacy versus trying to use it as a distraction for my opponent's resources. And then, oh, surprise, Primeval Titan. I just don't have a feel for that yet. Underground Sea. And Tamiyo. Sure. Green Sun is a card. I think that's about all that I can say here. It's just very mana intensive for right now. And if you squint at it funny, I already have 2 Primeval Titans in hand. Bug. Wonder if we are beans over there. You may have your clue. We are beans. Confirmed. Getting the value off my Urza Saga is probably good here then. Okay. Everybody be cool. Everybody be cool. Last turn here. You have a Miracle? Somebody temporal masteried me the other day. Ponder's fine. So my opponent can 100% flip the Tamiyo this turn if that is a thing that they want to do. On my own turn, I have to decide whether or not I am going for a combo turn or whether I am trying to continue to do mid-range bullshit with Urza Saga tokens for a little while longer. We've got a response now. You have lots of different colors of mana. I think I'm going to settle in for the longer game. Bowmaster is fine. So I'll make a 1/1. I will pick up an Amulet. I will just use Forest as my land drop for turn. And we'll chill. So Prismatic Ending or Teferi could be annoying here, taking my Amulet out of play. Yeah, that's fine. My opponent will probably leave 1 or 2 creatures back to protect Teferi. Probably 2 because they know that I have an Amulet. Well, let's see if this resolves. Does not. Pitched a bargain. This card's great in case you haven't seen this one yet. Now we're gonna kind of go mid-range mode instead. I'm going to go Turf. Just bounce a Forest. I will make a Forest as a regular land drop. And then next turn I can do a Green Sun for X=3. If my position was slightly different, I could have used Summer Bloom as a bait spell to actually resolve the Amulet that I deeply cared about. Or beans. Very bad news for me. Tamiyo is going to keep accruing clues. Don't love that. Hey, more other Amulet, but I awkwardly played that. Green Sun, X=3. That incidentally creates a Planeswalker. That is a Force of Will, pitching another bargain. Tamiyo becomes a Planeswalker. I'm going to play out an Amulet, and I'm going to try to kill Tamiyo. I could trade for both of these bodies, which I would be fine with, or my opponent could just chomp to buy time. We'll kind of see how they value all of this. Alright, they're just going to chomp. Okay. The 1 ring. Would have been nice without that Bowmasters there. I'm sort of sad my opponent didn't just trade across the board. Crack a clue. I guess I can technically attack and pressure things here. It just doesn't feel good. We'll send at Teferi with a 1/2. Try to keep Teferi from just being able to nuke the construct token. Yeah, I have an awkward assortment of cards here. Don't know how much I like the Summoners packs. I probably need to board them out in this matchup for things, I don't know, like Endurance, that just mid-range. Actually, this is where my Field of the Dead Life from the Loam stuff comes in. Oh boy. 7/7. Honestly, not a fan. Not a fan of that. Damio also at 6 loyalty here. All around bad. All around bad. Well, this is 6 mana. So, yeah. Maybe they have no Force of Wills. No interaction of any kind. Surveil. And a fetch. Cracking a clue. And that's a Force of Will. So now, opponent did not wait for me to resolve Summoner's Pact. So, what if we do it again? Is Lumra in any capacity better than Primeval Titan? No. Primeval Titan. Yes. So I can get haste. Yeah, why is this not the other one? I can get haste with Slayer. No. What's the name of the other one? Battlements. Is there a Summer Bloom line that's interesting? I don't think so. I'm just going to do this with a land that produces red. So we'll untap. We'll untap. We're going to get haste. We'll bounce some land. It probably needs to be one of these for next turn. Now we go to combat. This is kind of all around awkward, isn't it? Send it face. This is 5. So yes, I can't double strike here. Lotus Field adds 3 mana of 1 color. I get Shifting Woodland for next turn to be another Primeval Titan. 4 of my mana is eaten up next turn to a pact, right? 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That leaves me with enough to activate an Urza's Saga. And I can play Gruul Turf and activate another Urza's Saga. Or go like 1, 2, 3, 4. Shifting Woodland is neat. This deck is hard when you don't know how to play it. Yeah, I don't think this deck works super well with this being a gate. I can't get both of these at the same time. Getting red and white at the same time for Slayer Stronghold is a deal breaker here, because that's the +2/+0 to trade with Murktide. How do I not die to my opponent's Murktide? I don't know. I don't know is the answer. Yes. So I could do some Summer Bloom nonsense. I think that's for next turn. Wasteland is probably good for my opponent. I have no idea how they are supposed to use it. They're going for Urza's Saga. Leyline Binding on Amulet is going to be very good here. That Tameo ultimate that's coming is really annoying too. Maybe I have Shifting Woodlands copy Amulet lines. I do have an Amulet in my graveyard. Looks like another Delve spell. You have Hooting Mandrills? No, it's a Ponder. I don't know what that green mana is doing then. That's a shuffle. My opponent has 9 cards in hand. 2 Planeswalkers and a Murktide on board. Brainstorm. Still green floating. I will take 7. I do have Delirium or Shifting Woodland. So I only have to pay for one of these packs since my opponent countered the first pact. So I can go... I need green. Green, 1... This one? Then an untapped land gives me a Primeval Titan attack on Tameo? Yes. That's not bad. Okay, is Shifting Woodland supposed to turn into Amulet, though? And then I play Gruul Turf and Summer Bloom and go wild. That seems probably correct. I also have an extra land drop from Exploration. Does that get me somewhere? So I play Gruul Turf, land drop 1. I play Forest, land drop 2. This is Primeval Titan. Okay, we're going to do that. That doesn't involve any counter spells. Bounce Forest, play Shifting Woodland, become a copy of Primeval Titan. Alright, go to combat. Send in at the Tameo that is about to ultimate. We've got some longer term problems though. This is going to kill me. What are we doing about that? Getting double strike to try to kill my opponent next turn? I guess that's the plan. We go like double strike land, and maybe an Urza's Saga. I could also just take something like a bounce land, return a bounce land to my hand for Summer Bloom and One Ring stuff next turn. Yeah, okay. Let's do that. And this tramples, so this is not getting chump blocked. Now I pass the turn. This is cool. I also feel like my brain is going to just melt out my skull. Oh, it's Triumph of St. Catherine. That's what it was earlier. Had my mind on the weird stuff because I had recently played against Temporal Mastery when Triumph was right there. Alright, Misty from my opponent. This is the point of the game where that Field of the Dead that I have in my sideboard would be really, really fucking sick. That would help out so much. Oh, that's a Murktide that makes the other Murktide bigger. That's not good. I'm not technically dead. This is just air quotes, just 10 damage. 11 with Bowmasters, so I guess I'm dead to another Bowmasters. So that's 11. Playing the One Ring becomes slightly problematic. At least drawing with it does. Oh no. So, I have a Primeval Titan that can be a what? Oh no, that's not the one that buffs. My lands aren't going to untap. So I could 4 mana, Primeval Titan, give it double strike. My opponent wouldn't even need to block that though. Do I have 10 mana? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I do have 10 mana. So I think I play Primeval Titan as a bait spell, trying to do the One Ring afterwards. I think we're not going for double strike this turn. Do I do this first. I do this first as my initial spell. This kind of goes ham. Okay, that has resolved. So, let's do another. I don't have white mana for Sunhome. Okay. Turf. Or a weird Amulet of Vigor line where I turn Shifting Woodland into Amulet. That's still not giving me white mana. Bounce one of these. Maybe I need Amulet. Fuck. Yeah, okay, so maybe I need Amulet. So let's go 1, 2, 3, and 4. Create an Amulet. I can turn it into a Primeval Titan in a minute. Ah, shit. I guess I should have floated more mana first. I can wiggle a little bit more this turn. I think I'm going to lose now. I'm going to concede for the sake of my clock. We are already at 11 minutes as of game 1. Yeah, maybe I could have floated some more mana prior to doing that. Alright, I would like Life from the Loams and Field of the Deads here. You can bounce Planeswalkers, right? Yeah. That's relevant as the game goes late. I think this is fine. I think I'm going to get rid of my packs. I'll play a couple Endurances, and then we just figure out how to make the rest of the deck look to make this happen. I think it's getting rid of Summer Bloom. I just assume that this match goes on for a while. I don't think I'm going to try to address my opponent's creatures. This is presumably going to be fine. I really hope my opponent doesn't have Life from the Loam Wasteland. That would make me sad. Vesuva is just a bounce land in a funny hat. Vesuva is just a bounce land with a funny hat. Bounce the forest. Undra. And ponder. Ooh, okay. How does mana work? Regardless of how mana works, I play Amulet of Vigor here. So now I do Vesuva land drop 1, 3 mana. Vesuva land drop 2, 5 mana. I'm not getting there this turn, uncounterably. So 3 mana, 5 mana, down to 4 mana, up to 6 mana, but out of land drops. I did that right. So let's just wait a turn then. Go Forest, go Exploration, and I'll hold both of these for next turn, I think. Whatever. Giant. I'm gonna wait here a second like I'm typing it out, though. Yeah, we'll pass there. Bayou. Leyline Binding. I lose Amulet. I have 4 mana showing right now. Unfortunate. Alright, Snow-Covered Forest. Suva always enters tapped. You're just going to be Simic Growth Chamber for value. I'll just bounce Cavernous Souls to my hand. Do a land drop. Do another land drop. Put that on Giant again. 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's not enough for Primeval Titan. We've got it next turn. I wonder if my previous turn, if I could have just played out of Vesuva and ignored my Amulet to play around Leyline Binding. Third land drop. Beans. Oh, I also wonder if I was not supposed to make another Simic Growth Chamber, and if I was supposed to just copy one of my opponent's white lands for different names for Field of the Dead. Fuck, this deck is hard to play. Ponder. Ooh. Yeah. 1 name, 2 name, 3 names, 4 names, 5 names. I'll have 6 and 7 names in a second. Cool. Ooh, this is actually going to get really neat. Okay. I tapped this wrong, but I don't think it matters. So there's my uncounterable Primeval Titan. So yes, this stuff is not going to untap immediately. So 1, 2, 3. I just want 2 things with different names that aren't already in play. We'll go a Shifting Woodland and an Urza's Saga, maybe? Oh no, I had another thing I was going to do, and then I just didn't do it. So I was supposed to get a bounce land there to bounce Vesuva, and then play Vesuva repeatedly with Exploration for extra zombies. Damn it. I got lost in the lines of value. A Primeval Titan attack trigger or any bounce land gets me back to where I need to be, though. This might be a good time for my opponent to concede to save their own clock. I don't think they have to, but I would not fault them for doing so. Like, with Field of the Dead and Urza Saga in play, this is a lot of value on my end. Yeah, so Shifting Woodland was supposed to just be a red bounce land to bounce this Vesuva. Bleh. Force of Vigor. That's good value for my opponent. Valakut. Okay. Zombie. I have 2 card types in graveyard. Shifting Woodland is not live yet. Or 15. And then we'll see what my opponent does end of turn. I'm going to go ahead and remove this upkeep stop on my opponent's turn. Because let's be real, I am usually not interacting with my opponent on their turn. Land drop? A Teferi. That's reasonable. Taiga, sure. And 1 at face, and 1 at Teferi. Opponent's at 12, and I will just keep making zombies. My opponent wants a big thing like Murktide Regent that can help stabilize the board. They might not be able to turn the corner on killing me, though. A big something. You have a Triumph? You do have a Triumph. Lifelink is solid. Alright, there is a Simic Growth Chamber. I'm going to play Simic Growth Chamber. Trigger. Field of the Dead makes a zombie. Now I am going to bounce a Vesuva, which is going to enter play. And so this is land drop 2 of turn. This can just be a Field of the Dead. No immediate attack. So I could also just like keep playing Simic Growth Chamber for multiple zombies per turn. And that is a reasonable way to do that. And that's very good against the Terminus that just happened. Yeah, your tokens, any order. I don't know that we are going to get to play a game 3. A good game 3, regardless of who wins here. We are both very low on clock. Yes. This just gets me back an Urza Saga and some other real amount of value beyond that. Maybe turning on Delirium for Shifting Woodland. You have a Force. I'll move this down. You do have a Force, and I don't have Delirium for Shifting Woodland yet. This will be card type number 3. Wasteland from my opponent. Obviously pretty good. We'll see if they fire it off on Field of the Dead immediately. They do. The original, not the copy. And then we'll see how they set up the rest of the turn. Just passing. I'm going to go ahead and cast this. It is in play. I kind of wanted it to get countered, because that would be card type 4 in graveyard. Said my opponent is going to Leyline Binding it out of play. Reasonable. I will say, it seems like the sideboard strategy of a couple Life from the Loams and a couple Field of the Deads is exactly what I want here. I just need to be more proficient at playing this deck for the sake of clock. So same as before, I'm going to cast one of these, see if my opponent counters. They do not. But they have pile O Leyline Bindings. There's got to be something over there, right? And a fetch. Mystic Sanctuary. Is that targeting Terminus? or you just want to have a Terminus in hand, I think that's perfectly reasonable. That is going to kind of hedge against a very bad Field of the Dead turn. Cavern on fucking Bear or something. We got a zombie. It's a 5-turn clock. That's more land from my opponent. Probably not what they want. That's very good. I'll cast it. Alright, we're in play. And a Leyline Binding. I'm going to respond to that by drawing my card. Teleria West. Alright, goodbye One Ring. I imagine this does something cool. I don't know what it does. But I imagine something. Another Field of the Dead is fine. Another Field of the Dead is fine. 3 card types in graveyard. Send in for 2. Opponent's at 8. Play Field of the Dead. Make friends. My opponent can cast a Terminus and draw some cards. And then I will just make more land drops. Oh, I had kind of a cool line with Boseiju, where I get the One Ring back. Oh well. Send it. Endurance is fine. You can nuke my graveyard for the sake of the woodland here. You're going to take half your life total in damage, and then I'm going to force you to Terminus. Or are we at the point where we're swordsing individual creatures? We are. Alright, so you're at 6, and I do this. Make friends. My opponent might now be at the point where they have to stay in the game and try to win this one because they can't win a game in 3 minutes if they go to another game. They are going to draw a lot of cards with beans. A lot. Even more now. But it is just unclear whether or not that will be enough. I hate that I have to do that for tokens. Alright, Wasteland can hit my Urza Saga or a Field of the Dead. Going for a Field of the Dead. Sure. Fucking bears. Uncounterable, by the way. That's a big bear. Give me haste. Giant again. Okay, my opponent has conceded. Good stuff. Do you remember at the 10-minute mark when I said I thought my opponent should concede to preserve clock for the 3rd game? They were live in that game for a good portion of the game. But I wonder if they are just more comfortable playing a game 3 where they are on the play with more clock available. So in this next game, I'm kind of trying not to just die to my opponent making a small creature and hitting me 4 to 5 times. I might play Dismember, even though it's not really a good card for the matchup. Right, like the way they win in 3 minutes is miracling a Triumph. Yeah, I need these. Does my endurance matter? My endurances might not matter. There's also Fast Murktide. I think Life from the Loam is just too many clicks for the amount of time left on my clock. Although it is specifically a sideboard card for this matchup. This is fine. I just keep this and play Fair Magic. Clock is gonna tick down fast here. So I will Exploration, get my bonus land drop, and just bounce a land to hand. And we're just trying to play Fast Magic, annoy my opponent with these 2 cards, and then resolve a Primeval Titan and win. Every card like Brainstorm and Ponder takes 2 to 3 times as long to resolve as most of the cards in my deck. So that is not a boon for my opponent. Lotus Field is interesting. I kind of just ignore that one right now. That's good enough for a response from my opponent. Alright, they're just surveilling. That's fine. So I'll mill some cards. Land drop 1. Land drop 2. Bounce this. Fast turn. Next turn, I will probably just play a very proactive Endurance to just keep things from getting in my opponent's graveyard, even if it's not particularly good. I could also just shove Primeval Titan this turn. Let's do that. Actually, fuck your fucking beans. I'm not into that. I'll send in with this. Opponent's at 17. I'll drop Valakut. Last turn, I'll play Endurance in their upkeep. Oh, I won't play it in their upkeep. They don't have that stop set. Alright, I'll do it here. Cast. That's a Force of Will. I lose Valakut. I'm an untapped land away from being able to Primeval Titan, and if my opponent doesn't remove this, I just get a bunch of value by sacking this to return my lands. There's a bargain. Oh, fuck yeah. Giant. Seems good. Yes, I will get a Field of the Dead and an Urza's Saga. I will bash in for 1. 15. The Lotus Field is really fucking weird, though. I don't know that I get to play that. But the Aftermath Analyst, bringing back these lands, is crazy good right now. My opponent has 40 seconds left. You need to answer both of these creatures. Answering one of them is not good enough. Tamiyo and Brainstorm. Yeah, no, absolutely. Cast Brainstorm and put your Tamiyo triggers on the stack when you're sub 30 seconds. Yep. So, trigger. Aftermath Analyst doing some work at the end. Okay, my opponent's just going to let themselves time out. That is fine. Or no, they were just typing GG's in chat. Always yield to that. That'll do. Ah, damn. Despite all my misplays in this league and not knowing what I was doing and figuring out the deck as we went along, we ended up with a positive finish at 3-2. And that's 3-2 getting paired against a lot of fast combo. I think that was Nadu twice and Storm once. Yeah, GG's. Oh, that was fun. I enjoyed that. My brain is a potato, and I've got to go record a podcast in a little while. So let's wrap this one up. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Boros Garrison. We need you, buddy. I'm just going to put you in the deck, and I'm going to assume that Boros Guildgate was just a autocomplete mistake. I wonder if we put a 4-1 finish up, if that's Boros Garrison instead of Boros Guildgate. I looked at that when I first saw the list, and I went, that's the only Guildgate in here. They must know what they're doing. There must be a reason for this. I'll figure it out as I go along. Nope, just fully think that one was a mistake. This deck was pretty good. It's a headache to play. It's really hard, especially if you don't have experience with Modern Titan, which I don't really. There's some very powerful lines available to it, and there's some really weird ones with like Shifting Woodland. I really like my Field of the Dead tech that I added. The sideboard seems fine. Maybe you need some other things to be competitive versus combo decks, but generally speaking, I loved Life from the Field of the Dead. I liked having access to that. The Endurance, Collector Force of Vigor type stuff was necessary. I'm not sure how I feel about Soul Guide Lantern, Pithing Needle type things. Like, maybe such a huge proportion of the time you just need to get Amulet of Vigor that using sideboard slots for things that look like that is just not correct. Maybe Pithing Needle for Wasteland is important enough that you just play more Pithing Needles so that you can put it on Wasteland in the matchups that matter rather than it being a tutor target. I could see that as being reasonable. We didn't play against the widest variety of decks today, so I don't have a ton of experience against range, but I like the way this deck is constructed. Maybe this deck doesn't need Summoner's Pact. It definitely, 6 is significantly easier than 7, though. Maybe it's still fine. I wouldn't hate finding a way to squeeze the last Cavern of Souls in there. I absolutely don't know how to do that. This mana base is a mystery to me. I am glad I added in a few more green untapped lands. Now that I have added in Field of the Dead to the sideboard, maybe Snow-Covered Forest number 3. Maybe Snow-Covered Forest number 3 is a Cavern of Souls, and then, I don't know, maybe I don't want to take away from the exploration. There's finesse that can be done with the mana base, and if you're going to sit down and play a couple hundred games with this, you'll probably figure it out. James, I think you made a good attempt at porting this to Legacy. This honestly felt pretty powerful. It was capable of explosive things. We raced combo decks. We out mid-ranged the Beans control deck, which gets a big thumbs up from me. And with that, I'm going to call it a day. You need some cards. You know where to go. Magic is great sometimes. Anyway, see ya.